On the 20 World Cup is coming up.
Yeah.
Aliyu Zubairu has released his 20-man list. 20-man list for the tournament. Of course, the team is headlined by Captain Daniel Bameyi. Let me go through the list very, very quickly. We have Ebenezer Harcourt of Sporting Lagos, Clinton Ezekiel of Bayelsa, Rufai Abubakar of Marvelon FC, the goalkeepers. Defenders, we have Ocheche Amos Onyejefu of Rem, Odinaka Okoro of Sporting Lagos, Daniel Bameyi of Bayelsa United, but he just joined a team in Slovenia. Yes. Marvelous, Avriboso of Ikorodu City, Alatan Azuka of 36 Lions, Akinyele Ahmed Olamide of Remo Stars. Midfielders, we have Israel Ayuma of NK Istra, Emmanuel Ekowoicho of FC Montana in Bulgaria, Mustafa Kamaldeen of Kwara Football Academy, Daniel Daga, Oda FC Norway, Al Ibrahim, Aqua United, Nasiru Saliu, Kabala in Azerbaijan, Chichi Ose of Antwerp in Belgium, Sani Suleiman of AS Trenčín in Slovakia, Ahir Maigana of Wireless FC, Arierhi of Lillestrom, Charles Agaba of NK Istra, and Abdullahi Shitsu Ele of Manchester City FC in England. Milai, I know that you're very knowledgeable when it comes to these youth teams, when it comes to these youth players. What do you think about this team? And, what are the prospects in the Under-20 World Cup?
It's just somebody of Man City. I don't know, maybe you try and investigate that person of Man City. Sometimes if you Google your name and it's coming like Facebook, Instagram, that means that that person is nowhere. Is there any attachment with that boy to Man City? He went to go and snap picture in a trading venue with Man City, What is any attachment? There's no attachment, AyoT, that the boy plays for Man City. It's one clinical director somewhere sitting in Abuja, sign of that list. See, AyoT, we're in a deep mess. We're in a very deep mess. This is a year of social media. It happened to Nigeria in the past before. What came to light was that he's from Barcelona. And was this your friend, allnigeriasoccer.com, that was projecting the boy. There was nothing attaching. That boy is called Buluwatife. There was no attachment between that boy and Barcelona. I think that one don't pass small. Again, look at what they are doing again. Man City. One person is in Marvelon FC. That is the owner of Nigerian youth football. A single person is having like 4 or 5 players here. Rufai is Marvelon, and with his agent, LFR or so. What's it called? There's one other boy there, the midfielder. Is he Emmanuel AK or Kwamson, something like that? But I think the boy plays in one of these, maybe Bulgaria or so.
Yeah.
There's Chas Agada there, About 4 players. Is he the only person that owns, Nigerian youth system? The same thing with the under 17 too. You see Marvel. The best academy in Nigeria is beyond limits. Only Kparobo Arierhi is the only player of beyond limit coming out of his that made his team. See, probably I don't know, maybe you're gonna ask me based on defenders and but what I just say basically is that this we're not really serious in this country. I can tell you for that. We're not really serious in this country. It shows that this is like a cash for sports. I see it that way. Though with due respect, there's some talented players here, but we have better players all over the world than the people that actually were selected. So I wish him best of luck. But you can ask me that okay, maybe probably Kparobo Arierhi as usual. And I'm big of some Kparobo Arierhi that's going to actually deliver. There is a boy. There was the right back from Reims, Zionushi. The boy is good. He plays for Reims second division. Reims B team. The boy is good. Ezekiel Clinton, the goalkeeper from Bayelsa Queens. I saw the boy first when the boy was playing for Calabar. What a goalkeeper. But the issue with him is that he's not really blessed with height, So that's what he's a very, very good shot stopper. For me, better than even Ebenezer Harcourt. So I'm happy he made this team. Rufai will make this team because he's from Vavo and he saved the penalties in the third place games that we played against. Was against Egypt. So Bameyi is already there, ageless Daniel Bameyi. And also,
ageless.
He has been playing this team for the past 6 years. He's ageless.
He started young now. Even Daniel Daga started young.
How can somebody start playing on a year under 20 at the year 14? Now cross to 17, cross on that distance. I see. On paper, it's like Daniel Daga and Bameyi is age mates on paper. So for me, I wish them the best. I wish the best of luck. How they could do. But there was a boy that made the list from Antwerp. I don't know if you mentioned the boy's name.
Yeah,
Antwerp.
I do.
A very good left winger. He can actually do some things. But there's a better player than him in Antwerp. At least Nigerian too. It's called Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah. Yes, Gabriel Jesus.
It's called Gabriel Jesus. So I just hope, because it's just that this is like the very bad thing, Nigerian football. A year that we are struggling to go to the World Cup, we're still depending on under 20 to actually perform well, and somebody just came up with this list. For me, not a good list. I hope that it can go there and go and surprise me.
Okay, talk about specific positions here. So we have Clinton, Ezekiel, Ebenezer, Harcourt, and Rufai Abubakar. You expect Harcourt to be the starting goalkeeper, or are we looking at Clinton?
I think Harcourt is going to be starting goalkeeper. I think he is actually what selected. It was not Unwosu that was the first choice initially, but when he fumbled in the first game in the WAFB, the coach changed him to Ebenezer Harcourt. Fresh from the not Varigio Cup, the one in Sweden. Forgot the one in Sweden. The one in Sweden. It was fresh. It was Gotia Cup, fresh from Gotia Cup. So since then, Ebenezer has been first choice. And when he got injured, I would Nigeria crash out. So for me, I think Ebenezer is going to be the first choice. I think closely followed by Clinton Ezekiel. Very, very good shot stopper too.
Okay. Defenders, of course, we know that Daniel Bameyi is the captain of the side. But which other players are you excited about in the defense? They only took 6 defenders. Players are going to have to play most of the competition for us. But anybody else here? Okoro, Sporting Lagos, I think we know Okoro fairly well.
Yeah. I think Odinaka Okoro is going to be the first choice left back. And I think Daniel Bameyi will actually will be the one starting, in that central defense. I think the Maigeri, the regular first choice as a right back, got injured on the eve of the tournament. So replaced by the boy from Reims. That's Onushi from Reims. So it's like probably Onushi from Reims will be starting, in this tournament. Ahmed Akinyele, of Raymond Stars, got called up after a very good performance during this Latin Sports Festival. And he did well. So I think Ahmed Akinyele, Bameyi, Osheshi, Amos, and Odinaka Okoro will be the ones to be in the defense. Yeah.
Midfielders, we know Israel Ayuma, who plays in Croatia. We know, of course, Daniel Daga. We know Awal Ibrahim. Do you think that those guys are supposed to be the key midfield players, or are we looking at other players here like Emmanuel or Mustafa Kamaldeen that can become key and start in the tournament?
Mustafa Kamaldeen is still playing academic football in Kwara State. I don't know the reason why they picked Mustafa Kamaldeen ahead of Divine Odise. That has been with the team from day one. Only Aliyu Zubairu can answer those questions. In Nigeria, you don't defend list. It's like INEC list. Just go and submit it. So for me, I think that Daga will play a very key role in this team along with Israel Ayuma, in that central midfield actually position. So Emmanuel Ekowoicho can also play as a central defender. So it's another option, central defender. So, but his major role is a defensive midfielder. So I think that guy will be the one. So Nasiru Saliu is coach boy. He left Economic Warriors for Azerbaijan. So maybe coach is his agent. And I'm just saying that, he's also a very good player. I just think that Awal Ibrahim, Nasiru Saliu, they're not really top there. So it's going to be between Emmanuel Ekowoicho, Israel Ayuma, and then Daniel Daga. If he's going to play the 3-man defense. 3-man midfield.
Awal Ibrahim, you don't think will start?
The problem is just the lack of concentration, from Awal. Awal will do the good thing in 10 minutes, might be off for 90 minutes. That is one thing about Awal. Awal did so well in the first game against Tunisia, but since then, he didn't perform well at all. What do you want to say?
Okay. Going over to the forwards, we have Kparobo Arierhi, who has had a good start for John Dalen in Norway on loan from Lillestrom. We have Charles Agaba, of course. One player that I actually quite like in this attack is Sani Suleiman. I've been following him very closely for AS Trenčín in Slovakia, and he's been doing quite well there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do there. But are there any other players, or who are you really looking forward to seeing play in our attack here?
I think Tahiri by Ghana, of Wireless FC. He's a grassroots player. He's a player that was displaced by Boko Haram in Borno State. In the IDP camp. He could find himself to represent Nigeria. That's a very beautiful story, actually. And he's like a victory for grassroots, if my Ghana actually would get to play very well in Chile. And if you have watched my Ghana, it was in the WAFU tournament, and he actually did well. So another player I will have to say you should watch out for is Charles Agada. they have in fact, they don't sell them to nearly every club. In fact, they won't say that it's in QPRs in anywhere. But it's a player that is got quality. He plays like Sergio Aguero. So he's very petite, but he's very strong on the ball. So this is the chance now. When you play for under 17, Nigeria did not qualify for the World Cup. So, and people say, oh, Agada missed out on a very big deal. So, Nigeria qualify. But this is not the chance for a guy to perform on the world stage. So, if the coach can trust him enough to start alongside Kparobo in the 4-4 formation, or you probably come on from the bench, I think Agada will actually what we do well. The Agada I know will do well. I don't know, maybe he's now using Louis Vuitton. But the Agada I knew when he was in Malvo will perform well.
Do you know if he's related to William Agada?
No, I don't know. I don't think
forward who plays in. Okay.
Yes. So also Ashishi of Royal Antwerp. I think the forward line might be Ashishi and Sulaiman and Kparobo. Yes.
I mean, they kick off against Norway on the 29th of September before playing Saudi Arabia and then playing Colombia to wrap up the group stage.
Yeah.
Do you see them comfortably getting past this group?
Yeah, I think they should do enough to beat Norway and Saudi Arabia, but they will meet their match when they play against Colombia, because Colombia also has similar history with us. I don't want to go into that. So it's going to be bone for bone, and strength for strength. So, but I think I fancy them against Norway and Saudi Arabia. Okay. So I think that one should be good enough to take them to the second round, or you call it a second round.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's talk about some players that were not selected. People are talking about Divine Olise not being selected. Some people said there's another name that has been widely mentioned. The name is
Jefta.
There's Jefta. There's even another name that I was thinking of before.
What about the player that said that you got to pay more?
No, yeah, don't worry. I'm going to talk about that. But I mean, are there any players that you feel like should have made this team? That there's Hafiz Umar. That one apparently was not released by his team, but of course Hafiz Umar is one of those players that you would have expected to be in the team. But are there any other players that you feel like should have been in the squad?
The coach wanted Hafiz Umar. The coach wanted Taye Yusuf of Olympiacos. He wanted Taye Yusuf, but the Olympiacos did not release him, for the tournament. The coach wanted the boy from Offham, but I don't think Offham, the boy from, is it Benjamin also? Chuku. I think Offham registered him for the Bundesliga. But currently he's with 2, but they register him for the Bundesliga. His friend, his friend is also, is he Emmanuel something? His friend went on loan to Austrian Superliga. That one too wasn't available. So a lot of players were available. Well, for me, a player that was available that was selected was actually what Divine Olise. He was part of the team during the Wafubi qualifiers. He went to the AFCON. He also played at the last Wafubi tournament. He was, you understand the team very well. He can play up front, he can play in the midfield. Very good talent. He's a guy that is very young. See, if I'm saying that a guy is very young, because I know when he's a very young. In fact, the guy cannot be older than that age, they called it. He can't. He's very young, and for him to be playing at that level, there's a big future, in front of Divine Olise. I don't know what the reason why the coach has to tell you, because the boy the coach called from Kwara, the boy have not been part of the team. Maybe it's a good player, Mustafa Kamadin. Maybe it's a good player, that the coach wants to tie, but I don't know anything about Mustafa Kamadin. So I just know that, the guy is a very, very good player, Divine Olise. And why he was dropped, I can't question that. If FIFA asked them to select 23 players, I know when Nigeria is going with 21.
20.
Yes, 20 is
Precious Benjamin as well, who was the forward at the under 20 AFCON is 90.
Yeah, Benjamin was forward, and Chukwu Emmanuel was the
Emmanuel Chukwu, centre back.
Yeah, centre back, centre back. So it's like a big change from the AFCON team. He has to drop his own son, which is my Gary, at the right back. So, like for example, now only 2 defenders surviving from the AFCON team.
So that bodes the question here. Like, why is it that we cannot properly identify players? The fact that between an under 20 AFCON, that took place, when was it? In May of this year, and September, a few months, maybe 3-4 months, that the team has changed so much. Is it like, what's the reason for that? Are we not identifying talents properly, or are players dropping off and other players are stepping up? Like, what exactly is the reason?
No, it's corruption that is leading to all this. Now we say it here. If you coach like you take him to court, it's corruption that's leading to us here, because some players, they will only get selected for the Wafubi and European clubs will buy them. Maybe that's what they actually what paid for. They leave. That's what they do. The other person with assets will come. If you look at the team that play Wafubi, for example, now the center defense was Bameyi and Sayu. There's one guy from the guy is from FC Doma FC. The boy is from Doma FC. The boy is not getting with the team. He was different with a partner in Egypt. The guy in Egypt too is no longer there again. Different to when he went to Ghana. So they just keep on chopping and thinking. So it's like it's not about scouts, it's just that players come to the team to join European clubs and that's it. So it's not as if they want to keep a bunch of group. I believe they're the most talented. So the time that we've had a very good R20, we kept them in camp for so long. But this team have done the chopping and changing. In fact, I even heard there was a time that this coach was camping teams in Kwara, doing illegal camping in Kwara himself, not authorized by the NFL. See, when we get to some stage, we'll talk about more about that.
And I mean, you mentioned corruption. I will say this. I mentioned this on your stream on Friday as well. Allegedly, because I don't have evidence other than somebody's word of mouth. And that 20 player informed, that they had asked him to pay.
Which country is he playing?
If I say it, it'll be too obvious.
Too obvious? Which country?
No, he plays in Europe. I will say that.
If you say the country in a different country.
If I say the country, people will know immediately what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. If I say the country, you will know. And I mean, he didn't ask me to put his information out there, so I don't want to betray the trust. But he had mentioned that it was like, the thing is so funny that he doesn't understand what was going on. That he had asked him to pay 10 million naira to be a part of the team. And eventually, when the money hadn't been paid at 6 a.m., they told him to leave the camp, that he had been dropped from the squad. And then he said that if he was even looking for a club, maybe he could have even said, okay, let him go and look for the money and how to pay because he needs to sell himself. But the boy already has a club. He's playing in Europe. He's doing well at the level that he's playing at and is trying to come up. So he said he does not understand it, that it surprised him that they would ask him for money like that. That he's the one that paid flights from his team to come down to Nigeria to join the camp, to train. They did not cover anything. And then for them to now ask him to pay 10 million. He's like, he wishes that he knew that this was what was going to happen before, so that he would not just even have wasted his time and he would have stayed with his club and continued training. They said that between him and his club, they need to find a way to pay the money. Otherwise, there's no way he can get into the team. He said that the things that he saw in that camp, that he cannot even begin to talk about it, the kinds of players that were invited and all sorts of things, that the corruption is too much. This was what that 20 player was saying, and it just speaks to what you're talking about when you say that a lot of corruption is involved in this thing. They want certain players that maybe have relationships with certain people, or certain players that they want to be able to market and be able to sell. And I think if this thing is really happening, which I'm inclined to believe that it is obvious why we're not progressing at the rate that we should be progressing, because people are not making the best decisions because they want to make decisions that benefit them. Because had that boy paid the 10 million that they allegedly asked him to pay now, maybe now one coach or now one person could just pocket the money and just be like, okay, fine, now you get the chance to go. And he might not even play, but just to be able to say you went to that 20 World Cup, it's very, very shameful. This fact that things like this happen in our system.
It's also, let me just give you one example too. The player that we have been shouting about here, hey, this player, jollof rice, fried rice, chicken. The player was on the verge of being dropped from the age grade tournament. He went to it was in Nigeria. And the story was that there was a mistake in one guy's passport. That's why they brought in that guy. That guy eventually became the best player for Nigeria. So what I'm just trying to say is that mentioning corruption. Do you know how corruption already destroyed Nigeria youth football? You know that? We don't produce players that can actually represent Nigeria maybe probably in 10 years, 5 years time. That's the problem we actually work out with our grassroots football. For example, I mentioned it. They took 24 players to AFCON in Egypt. Said there was a player that could not even carry his boot. He couldn't even know how to use boots. It was the only player that did not play in the under 20 AFCON. How did that boy make the team? How did that boy make the team? Suddenly, too, I will see coach in when it's about 2 minutes at the end of the game. Coach will change like 4 players in AFCON. Why is he doing? Is it maybe to give them so that they can see that they also play? No, for me, there's a lot of things that I see there. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. Somebody mentioned a player here now that I know a lot of information about that player, but I wouldn't like to say it here because I put that information. These people collect more than 10 million IoT. I know of somebody here, but you might be listening to me now. His player, maybe he's probably escaped through and things like that. He's 70-30. So to tell you, If the guy did not agree, the boy is not going. So one particular agent had 4 players in this team. 4 players in this team. So, the team that they will invite you guys could come and pay for bed. That's what they do. Come and pay for bed. Instead they invite you, who invites you? Bed don't finish, you. Go and pay for bed, though. Imagine, national team duty. Tell the NFF, AyoT, when last they pay like Aliyu Zubairu, and how is he surviving? How much did Aliyu Zubairu have in his account before it became an athletic code? And how much is he having now? Let's know. It's not as if I'm saying that it's corrupt. Let's know. See, NFF they are the problem of all. They are the problem, honestly, in my own opinion. Because at the end of the day, you don't pay these guys, what do you expect them to do? CC, instead of going after Yahoo boys, you need to investigate Aliyu Zubairu. How much all the PAs, people working with Aliyu Zubairu, they should investigate them. The same thing with Manu Garba. They should investigate them. Because we can't continue like this, AyoT. The best players should not have an opportunity to ask you what to play. If you don't know anybody, go home. When they ask you for from who, imagine, not be national if it can be this. They will ask you from who. There's no bed though. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say in terms of hoping that things get better, because if you hope, but nothing is being implemented, hope is not going to change anything. We actually have to get people to start making changes.
Who are the people that will start it? The people that you say will start it.
They're the ones doing it.
On 94. They're the one bringing players to these coaches. The one that you say that's okay, is the authority from their above in Abuja. They're also involved in this corruption. They're also involved. Who will now change it? Who will now change it? It's like thief, steal them. And that's thief, steal them again. That is how it is. So nobody to change it. See, one legend of our game, he benefited from a system of free and fair, but he's the one now corrupting the system. Why? Is it because Nigeria were not organized? Why? They will impose player on the coach, and the coach too say, okay, you impose, so you go bring in people to join. There are some players here now. They are from Aliyu Zubairu. It will go top. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy indeed. But do you think we have a chance to win the U20 World Cup?
I don't think we can win it. But I think the boys too, will want to play as usual. I think the final will be good, but it depends on how they perform in the first game. If they cannot beat Norway in the first game, I think they might be coming home earlier than expected.
Okay. Well, in Group F, like I mentioned, Norway, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, and then we'll wait and see who we get in the other rounds. But it is a shame. It is a shame.
Sorry, let me just say something. See, I think you said that we need football people. Who are the football people that we need? See, who are the football that we need? The football people that you are mentioning, you are thinking about, they are the most corrupt. They are the one trying to destroy the system. They're the ones. It's sad.
Let's move forward. Wishing them all the best. Wishing the team the very best. The players, hopefully they perform and they're able to move on and progress from there.